Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, I'm your host, Scott Carson. We are excited to be joined today live from the Pacific Northwest. One of our newest students who is out doing some amazing things on a part-time basis in the Note industry. We are excited to have our Mastermind student, our brother from another mother, the fireman, Mr. Neil Clasen. How's it going, buddy? Good morning, Neil. How's it going out there, man?
It's going really well. Just got up. Luckily, got out of the fire station in time to be here today. So,
well, good, man. Well, we're glad to have you. So, why don't you take for a second for those that are watching live on Facebook and they're listening on iTunes and stuff like that. Tell them a little about yourself. Tell them about your history, your real estate investing history, and kind of what attracted you to Notes.
Like you said, I'm a firefighter. I do that full time. But luckily, with the schedule that we have here, it gives me a lot of extra time. I'm 24 hours there at the station, then I have 48 hours off. And for the last 17 years, both my wife and myself, we've been investing in real estate. We've had rental properties here in the Portland, Oregon area. And then we've done some rehabs, some flip stuff, lent some hard money to a guy, done some different things, done some lease options, and on both sides of those. So done some different things. We sold a business that my wife had been running for the last 14 or 15 years, January 1st, and we're selling off some rentals. Wanted to look to do something a little bit different. We were looking first to go and buy some turnkey rental stuff. So we wanted some cash flow, basically. We were looking for cash flow rather than, looking for that long-term up. I mean, we rode our rentals out through the downturn. We were really lucky that we had bought pretty conservatively. And because of that, we didn't lose any of them. But we did put money into them all the time. We recouped that luckily in the long term. But just wanted to see instead a little bit shorter term and getting our cash out of things. Luckily, I ran into a guy, talked to him about some stuff. He does notes. They're performing notes. But it got me thinking about notes. Started researching it. Found you, chatted with you. And of course, Cody Cox, who's a local guy here, who's very active. Has been a huge resource for me, and through you guys, I just really found something that I enjoyed. I think it runs in my blood to help people. Both my parents were firefighters. My dad professionally, my mom is a volunteer, and then my mom worked as a nurse's assistant, and then that's obviously what I've chosen to do. And I like helping people, and this gives me the opportunity to have that cash flow, make some money, but also still to help people when they're willing to work with me. So.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a true win-win when you have people that really want to help, that are willing to work with you. Yeah, you're glad to definitely help out as best you can, but you don't run a charity. You've got to obviously pay the bills as well too, right?
Absolutely. But I was going to say that when people are willing to work with us, at least from my experience so far and from talking to you guys, when they're willing to work with us, we can help them out. So I think that's awesome.
So Portland's got some weird rental laws recently too taking place up there. That's also been a big reason why you've gotten out of the landlord and gone to being a lien lord.
It is. I mean, there's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes on with being a landlord for the last 17 years, right? A lot of things that I didn't enjoy. I mean, a lot of things I enjoyed too. But yeah, we got a law that came up here about a year ago, more than that, a year and a half ago, and we have to pay people to move out of our house even when the lease is up.
What?
It's I don't know. I mean, I can't even explain it. We took it to the landlords took it up to the Supreme Court of the state, and they decided it's perfectly fine. They then tried to get it passed statewide. Luckily, that didn't go through. So it's just within the city of Portland. Unfortunately, all the rentals we had were in the city of Portland.
Ouch.
So we're going through it right now. We're actually down to just one of our rentals left. We're looking to sell it here this spring. And unfortunately, we're going to end up probably paying the guy to move him out of the house. So.
What's is there a percentage amount or a month of rent that you've got to pay them? What's the situation with having to pay them?
It has to do with the number of bedrooms, and I believe the numbers are a 2-bedroom is $2,500, a 3-bedroom is $35, and a 4-bedroom and above is $4,500 to get them out of the house. So
if you have to evict them, you mean, or if they just at the end of the lease?
It's for no cause, right? It's only if it's no cause. So if you find a reason to evict them, then you don't have to pay them anything. But if I want to sell it, I have to ask them to leave, obviously. That's considered no cause. And so since it's no cause, I get to pay them. So,
Wow.
yeah. You also have to pay them if they choose to move out because you raised the rent too much.
Oh.
You can't make it up.
Wow. Somebody's smoking some good wacky tobacco up there in Portland, huh?
It's legal now, so I guess that's how it is.
Wow. That's definitely makes notes a little bit more attractive. So let's talk about some of those things. You're a guy that is a definitely doer. Goes out there and makes things happen, and you're very busy. I mean, you've got you and Sarah. Met Sarah this weekend at the Mastermind. You've got a couple kids too, right?
Just the one, but it seems like more than that.
It seems like more than my apology. You've got animals as well too. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've got a dog, cat, a rat. We're down to 4 chickens because one of them got attacked by a dog. Not my dog, because my dog's too sweet for that. But so yeah, got all that, and then I coach my daughter's football team, and we both do volunteer work. My wife works. I thought when she sold her business it was going to be less, but she's even working more now. So
careful there. Don't say anything. She's watching. We don't want you to get in trouble.
Hey, I'm proud of her. She works hard, so it's great. It's just we do stay very busy. So.
Yeah, definitely too. Yeah, somebody says Sandy on here says, "Yep, it's really stupid." Portland landlord here too. So Sandy says out there is watching there, but stupid, but it's great. Yeah, no, we enjoyed getting to know Sarah some this weekend in Cape Coral. So let's talk about one of the things that you said is because you went through the virtual workshop, you decided you wanted to be part of the Mastermind, go through the fast track. So you came to Austin, but you'd bought a deal before you showed up in here at Austin, though, right?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it's not the best deal. I'll make some money on it, right? But finding out a little bit more, getting some coaching, obviously, making sure I was getting better deals. The 4 I've purchased since then have been obviously a lot better deals.
Cool. Well, let's talk about that first numbers. Let's just go through it, talk why it's a good deal, why it's not a deal, is an education side for those that are watching on Facebook Live or listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher. So where's that first asset located?
Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson, Mississippi. We just had Walter Wolford from Jackson, Mississippi on Note Camp recently. Okay, so let's talk about the numbers of it.
Yeah. I bought it really cheap, right? It was $7,500. It was cheap. The place, fixed up, decent. Even just like as a rental, it's probably worth $35. But there's been nobody in it in a year, and it's a little run down. And obviously, there's no chance of reinstatement with it. The sad part about that one to me is getting the file and looking through it. The homeowners had been requesting up until just under a year ago that for a reinstatement of some kind or to work with the lender, and they wouldn't do it. And looking at it, there's a ton of room there to do some work on it. And obviously, if I was able to get a hold of that a year ago, could have worked something out great for those people and make money on it. So instead, at this point, looks like we're gonna do a deed in lieu on it, and we'll take it over as REO and sell it off. We are gonna probably have to do a little bit of repairs first to get it ready to sell. So I'll have a little bit more money into it, and like I said, I'll still make a little bit of money. It just won't be the kind of return or the kind of outcome I would have wanted for it.
Mm-hmm. So the big thing, did you know it was vacant before you bought the note?
I did. Yep. I knew that. And I heard you already say that, that's probably, the best route. I really wanted to do something, I wanted to get out there, buy something. I didn't want to spend my time, looking into things too much. I looked at it and I realized if I take it back as REO, I can still make some money. And so it was worth it just to get my feet wet. Yeah,
and you learned a lot. You'll always, as we always say, you learn more by doing than any type of book or coaching you can. As you said, hey, you want to get your hands dirty and learn it and take things, and you've learned stuff, and you'll be fine. You'll still make your money back plus the repairs. Like I said, it's not be the desired outcome, but hey, not bad at all. And I would totally encourage you to reach out to Mr. Walter Wolford, because not only may he be interested in buying it from you, if you could find a local investor, take it off your hands now if you got a deed in lieu, make some money. He loves the owner finance game down there, and it might be a possible way to stretch it out and still make some money and make it a win-win there for you too as well. Okay. Yeah. Now you bought 4 other notes since that first one. Were you buying these from banks, hedge funds? Where did you buy all these from?
Yeah, so I got those through a hedge fund.
Okay. Notes, contract for deeds. What are they?
The first one there in Mississippi was a note. The last four were contract for deeds. And then I got some bids out on both right now.
Cool. Good stuff. So let's talk about that. Out of those four, you had one that kind of reinstated already pretty fast, huh?
Yeah. So I had one. It's up in Michigan, just a couple of streets off from the lake, and it's Benton Harbor. It's a little bit of a smaller town, just outside of Kalamazoo. And so picked it up right away. First phone call, made right party contact, and the guy said, and I knew he'd been paying, right? Something. I had seen that he had made 2 payments this year already, but I didn't know how much at that point. Said that he actually started 3 months ago, and his payment should be $335 on that one. Should be. He's been making payments of $600 for the last 3 months. So yeah, pretty exciting. So we're working with him. Hopefully the exit strategy on that is he wants to, his comment was, can I just keep paying $600? And, I was like, yeah, he was afraid and had, been told before, like he needed to catch up. And I told him, no, we can just keep paying $600. If you keep paying $600, if he pays for another 9 months, it'll be reperforming and I can look to sell that off. And I purchased it at about 38% of the UPV. So, if I turn around and resell that and get a pretty quick cash out on it, about 9 months. So,
yeah, that's not a bad return. So, what did you pay for the note? Do you mind sharing?
No, not at all. I paid for that one $14,000.
$14,000. So let's do some quick numbers on that for everybody here. So $14,000, and if he's paying $600 times, let's just say 9, because that's where it's at. What you would get times 9. Hang on here. It's 5,400. So 5,400 divided by 13.5. You said, or 14.5?
I paid 14 for it.
14,000. My apology.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good 38.5% return. Yeah, that's on the front side. It's on the back side too. If you sell it, it's gonna be even more when you sell it, which is a beautiful thing. Now, do we have any questions for Neil on that? Howard says, "Hi Neil, you are rocking and rolling, buddy." Good stuff. So you bought that. Now, did you do the call out yourself on that one? Did you have a servicer do it, or how did you make right party contact?
Well, we had Polaris do it.
Okay.
Working with Polaris. Originally just on the last 4, but then I went ahead and had them reach out to the one in Mississippi too, because they will answer their phone and they won't answer their phone. So the way it is. So I decided to go ahead and have them deal with it for me.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea because they had pretty good success there within the first 30 days.
But yeah, I mean, we've made on the 4, we just started with the Mississippi one. The other 4, they made right party contact on 2 of them really quickly. The other 2 we're still working on. So,
okay, so let's talk about those other 2. What's the status of those? The bars want to stay in there. They tell them to go pound sand. What's the situation?
Yeah, so we've made right party contact on 2. That includes the one that guy's already paying. The other one, they want to stay. I haven't seen numbers on it yet, like what they're able to do or what they want to do. But they did make a payment. I'm trying to think. I think that one they made a payment either in December or January. So they've made a recent payment. They're working. I just don't know. Polaris was going to work up with them what they could afford every month, and we'll look at it from there.
Cool. That's good stuff. Ryan asked, what is Polaris's website and phone number? Polaris doesn't have a website, Ryan. What you can do is drop me an email and we'll make an introduction. But Polaris doesn't take a lot of new clients. You've got to be a Mastermind student really for them to work with it because they're pretty packed out. But drop me an email, Ryan. We'll see if we can get you an introduction.
I can say I really like the Polaris approach. It's always nice, of course, they can make contact several weeks sooner. And then I like the approach that they have of, they can contact them and say that they're a nonprofit working with them, and I can see where at times, at least in my view, that could have a little easier for the people to talk to, and to want to work with. Obviously, that's not always going to be the case. There's times you need a little stronger touch than that, but I like it. Oh, Scott's frozen. I have no idea if anyone can hear me. You can hear me? Say something. Huh. That sucks. You can hear me. All right. Can you guys see Scott? Because I lost him. All right, I think he's coming back. Oh, now I can't hear you, but I can see you. I'm not a good tap dancer, so I can't really get up and entertain you guys. But
Hey there, can you hear me now?
yeah, now I got you.
My computer just completely shut down. It just literally restarted. But that's the beautiful thing here is I have a little extra phone here that I can jump on. We can continue everything here, and the beautiful thing is we can edit out. So I can't see questions. My computer just simply restarted. But anyway, so Polaris reached out 2 out of 5. They're working through the other 3 assets. What do you think is going to happen with those other 3 based on the numbers? Were they making payments, recent payments? Are they occupied? What did you find out in your due diligence to begin with, Neil?
Yeah, so other than the one I talked about in Mississippi, the other 4 were all occupied. 3 of them had made payments in the last 6 months. One was about 8 months. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of the model that I'm working is to try to find the owner occupied and hopefully, making attempts to make payments. A couple of them are a little further behind. They're, a year or more behind a couple of them, but they've been making efforts along the way. So I know they're at least interested in trying to stay in their homes.
Mm-hmm. What's your long-term goal with the note business, Neil?
Right now, to grow a business, I mean, I like to stay busy. I don't know why. I always say I'm the world's busiest lazy guy because I really am lazy. I could sit around all day in a hammock, and that's my dream job is hammock tester. This doesn't pay enough. So I, keep doing it. I love the job I do. I'm not looking to get out of it necessarily. But sometime in the future, I don't want to be you see some guys, even though it's a great job, eventually they get pretty tired of it, because there is some hard things about it. And so they just, and I like being around the house a little more. Every 3rd night I'm gone. That's not always the easiest thing for a family. So we'll see how soon I make a transition to doing this more full time. Right now, I'm pretty happy doing it at the level I am. I just still want to grow. Still got more time, even though I don't know why I don't want to work doing it. But now that my wife's on board too, she's really excited and going to help me out. So you'll hold her to that for me since she's on here. She can hear that.
Let's talk about that a little bit though, because Sarah, a great person. She admitted when she came to the Mastermind this weekend, and like many spouses, was very nervous and stressful about getting started. You want to talk a little bit about that to begin with? And that's not saying anything bad about Sarah. It's just kind of normal. Like, you're a firefighter. What do you know about the mortgage industry, right?
Yeah, we're pretty good about supporting each other. So she was like, "Great, you're going to do notes, right? I think that's great. You can do that." And right away I was like, "I'd love some help. I'm not a marketer. You do a little bit of marketing." So she was like, "Well, I'll help you a little bit, right? I mean, like this much, literally." And I thought that was great. Then I told her I was going to make some bids. She's like, "Okay." Came home, told her I had made a bid on a few assets, and wanted to know if we had $171,000 in the checking account. Of course, we didn't. We're not sitting right there in our checking account. And she was like, "What are you talking about? I thought we were just going to do a couple notes." And I was like, "Wait, it's okay." So we worked through that together. She, after a minute, was like, "All right, if that's what we need to do, we'll move some money around, get it figured out." And didn't win all those bids, so that took some stress out of the family here at home, right? And but she took it. It was a slow thing for her because she was nervous, right? She didn't understand exactly what I was doing. Of course, since then I've picked up some JV investors and some other things that have helped us to not all coming out of our pocket. We still own some of the notes ourselves, of course, but she still wasn't sure. Still a little nervous. We got her down there. She came down to the Mastermind. She was all about the pool. Like, she was there just to be at the pool. I don't think she made it to the pool till the end of the second day, and then was back in the room with us part of the third day because she found it really interesting, started to learn some of it, got excited, she really enjoyed running some of the numbers and actually understanding what the deals were really like, what I was working on. So that was awesome, and it's great to have her now be a part of it. So.
And that's true. That's very normal. When you spring on, hey, you get 171 grand.
Yeah.
How many bids did you make an offer on? Do you remember the total amount of bids?
I don't. That's where I won those 4. I could look. But it was a handful. It was maybe 10 or 12 originally that I bid on. They were all lower value CFDs.
Right. And that's one thing that I think we have to all keep in mind. I have never gone 100%, everything approved on an offer, whether it's 10 or 20 or 60. And that's one of the things that we talked about at the Mastermind this last weekend was doing things bigger, right? Making more offers, and because you're not going to have everything accepted initially. And it's good to see some people taking action and doing that stuff right now on some of the posts and stuff. But that's always going to be scary. I know Steph is used to it by now, but even my staff in here was pretty stressed out when we made $1.5 million offering on assets, and Jen's like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
We end up thinking the final number was 400 grand, which is still a lot we use for other people's money. But let's talk about that a little bit, because you used your own funds. You're in the process of getting refinanced out. Is that correct on some of those deals?
Yeah. Go ahead.
To say, has it been easier to talk with people about raising private capital or closing on private capital?
Yeah, I haven't had that much trouble with it because I haven't really tried to sell anybody on anything. I explained to them what I'm doing. Some of them have an idea, obviously, about notes already. Let them know a little bit about the model I'm using, what I'm trying to do. Show them the property, and at that point, of course, I've already done all of the due diligence and the vetting of the assets, so I get to show them the house. I get to show them a BPO, sometimes 2 on a couple of those. And then, I have the file ready. So they get to see everything before they, are ready to move in on it. So they have all the information, and I have done nothing but share with them. And it's, I think once you look at the numbers and what I'm doing, it just makes sense. So.
Right. And then the fact is that too, you're talking with local people that you know already, or people from the local RIA or firefighters, coworkers. Where are these people coming from?
Yeah, actually, the first gentleman I did with, he was already working with a self-directed IRA. I had never met him before. Met him, got to talking about real estate. He is a local RIA member here, and got to talking to him about it. He's doing some fix and flips, working on his second one. Has some rentals, and he didn't want to do the fix and flip game anymore. So he went ahead and he's funded a couple of them, and I think we're going to do a couple more together. So
cool. That's good stuff. What's been the biggest aha moment for you of doing this over the last 90 days? Because you were experienced beforehand with different things in the note game. Has there been anything that's been a big surprise to you, Neil?
Actually, I think the thing that's been a big surprise to me is how much people are willing to talk to you if you go out and talk to them. And I mean that on both ends of it. I mean, I was especially nervous about talking to asset managers, right? I'm a fireman, and if they look into my name or my Facebook or even my LinkedIn, they're going to see that I'm a fireman. And I'm like, well, they won't want to, why would they want to deal with me? But then, if you make sure you know what you're talking about, you talk to them a little bit, people have been really willing to talk to me, deal with, a guy. I think they understand the situation. I was willing to close on some things. And so I think that helps, obviously. If you're willing to close on things, they're going to be willing to work with you. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, none of that stuff. Just if you're willing to make the deal happen, so are they. So
that was definitely be the truth of things, is when you see, hey, if you're green and you can close, it takes you up a notch versus somebody who is just asking questions and is not closing on anything. So that's a huge thing. Is the note environment a little friendlier or less friendly or different than your traditional fix and flip game or your traditional investors that you've seen?
In my limited experience with the other side, as far as I didn't put myself out there a lot, right? I was just investing by myself, didn't go to a lot of RIA meetings, wasn't active online with the bigger pockets or anything like that. It was just a thing I did myself, or my wife and I. Don't want to exclude her.
Right.
So I didn't have a lot of experience in that. But part of it was that it's not that open of an environment. People don't want to share that much. right? They kind of have their own little thing, and they don't always want to let you know what it is. I think even some of the coaches out there and people, if you share too much, those are pretty crowded fields, and you run out of opportunities. And I found the exact opposite with notes. Obviously with you guys and being a part of the mastermind has been awesome, but really even online, people are really willing to share and help each other out. There's a few things that you hold pretty close. Some sources, maybe if you have a source that's you're getting some deals from. But even that, people sometimes, I've even shared those things. But everything, how to work deals, how to run numbers, it's been great. I think I learned a ton before I, even really made a move to do anything, whether that was get coaching of any kind or buy something. So.
Right. What was the one of the things I'd like to ask people is as if they've found friendliness, and that's one of the things that overwhelmingly I think we have to agree with, is that we're still a niche market with the whole note investing side. There's probably total maybe 5,000 plus total people out there doing this, so it's a much smaller niche than your fix and flippers or your landlords and things like that. So it's nice seeing people communicate and being willing to share references and vendors and things like that, which is really good. Laura Blank says, glad that Benton Harbor is working out. It is a good looking asset. As I'm getting back up online here, my computer up and running here again. As people think about technology. Less than 30 seconds, I was back online on Zoom here, but I'm just pulling up here real fast on a couple things. You've got who's your servicer? Who's handling the servicing side for? Is it Madison?
Yeah.
Madison, you got you said Polaris helping out with that stuff like that. When you got the collateral files, did you find anything interesting inside those collateral files and the assets you were working through?
All I have right now is the soft collateral files on the last four, the CFDs, and nothing surprising in those. Like I said, I wasn't the first one in Jackson. I was just surprised that these people had requested several times to something, a reinstatement. They were willing to do almost anything. And whoever had them, they weren't willing to, which I know who it is, but I'm not going to say it here. They were unwilling to work with them. So.
That's always interesting. It's if somebody's begging for it and needs it, has been responsive. Now, I'll give you an example. We had a situation happen just today here in the office where we reached out to a borrower to do a trial payment plan in October or November. They made one payment and have gone dark silent since that in the last 6 months. All right. And suddenly now they're leaving Jen 18 messages in a 24-hour period about trying to do something now that we've escalated this. Well, the point is now is we've given people opportunity. If they don't respond, there's not much I can do for it. It's the deal's off the table from 6 months ago. They've got to come back with a new deal. So it's just interesting to see how people respond and will either do things or they won't do things. And it looks like my computer is semi-working here. Hang on here.
Double Scots right now.
Yeah, 2 Scots, right? Hang on here.
Shot to handle. I'll tell you.
There we go.
All right.
All right. Hang on. This is just crazy. All right, there we go. Can you hear me okay now, Neil?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Man, I can't hear you. Great stuff.
Oh, no.
There we go. Say something now.
All right. You got me?
There we go. You're golden now. All right.
All right.
All right. Good stuff. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Got to love technology. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's what happens when you don't turn your computer on for a couple of days. It goes on strike for you. But anyway, so what was the biggest aha moment from you coming into Cape Coral this last weekend for the Note Mastermind?
Just that, I think I was being a couple of things. I was eliminating too many properties for several reasons. And some of those reasons, had to do with stepping up and realizing that, if I'm going to get it done, you got to do it, right? And pretty simple on that end. The other one was just I was missing a couple of notes that had potential because I was eliminating them in my due diligence process, my first round. And so that's great because that just means there's more assets for me to bid on now, which that obviously is always nice.
Yeah, that's one of the great things is learning from other people or learning other kind of due diligence strategies or things to look at to help you maybe clear up it on the front end. Or I think a lot of people were overanalyzing too many things before they make their offering, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was to some extent sitting around talking to some people, not as much as some people were, but I was definitely putting in a lot more time than I needed on the front end. I mean, obviously, all that stuff will still get done before I would ever purchase it. But I was doing a lot of it prior to my bid that I really should probably be doing after my bid in order to get my bid in a little quicker and pick up some more assets.
Mm-hmm. So, that's one of the big things is if you can make a big offering, 20 plus assets, and control those assets, they'll give you more time to do all the front end stuff that you need to do as they're either countering or going back and forth. And there's nothing against if they come back and say, oh, hey, okay, you're approved here, and you find that there's no roof to the house. You can fade that bid down and go from there. One of the things you talked about earlier on that you love being a fireman, and we love that. It probably actually came in very handy this weekend on a short couple things with things happening, right, Neil?
Yeah, we did. Had a one minor incident.
Everything's all good. If you and Sarah obviously communicate, you work together and things. She's got her business that she's working through. She's very passionate about, good at it. She loves numbers. Have you guys talked at all about kind of long term or where you want to eventually do? Where you want to eventually be, where that sitting in the hammock and being a professional hammock tester in the Caribbean or somewhere?
All right. No, seriously. I like the idea of being able to move around. Sarah and I have both lived overseas. She's lived in Spain. I lived in Africa and in Europe. And I think down the road at some point, we would like the ability. I think we'll always keep our house here in Portland. I love the people. My family's here. But, winters are tough. It rains a lot. I think we could really see us out, going for periods of time, months or a year or two somewhere and be in different places. And I want portability at that point in my life. And this gives me that portability to be able to do this from wherever I'm at. Obviously, I won't be able to be a firefighter and do that. They don't allow that. So I think that's one of the big things that I liked about this as well is you can do that as a landlord, but obviously it's a lot harder. So that's one of the things that really keeps me wanting to do this. I started late as a firefighter. Later in my life, I had run a small business and done about every job that you can think of along the way. And when I got started, I'd have to work till I'm 62 to hit my retirement age, my minimum retirement age, number of years. And it's obviously if you go and be an officer, you can do that. I don't really want to go the officer route. I enjoy the actual job of doing what I do. So I don't see myself doing it to 62. Not that 62 is old to work. I also don't necessarily want to be done working. I just don't know that it's the right career for a guy that age. It's a young man's game. And I'm still relatively young, so I think I'm still doing all right at it. But sometime in between, I want to retire and have this, and then that gives us that portability to live where we want, when we want. Plans change so fast that I don't know what we'll be doing for sure, but I'll have the options. And having that option open, I think, is what we're interested in.
Yeah, as Sarah mentions in the comments here, Bahamas is the one word. And that she can sell coffee cups from anywhere, and that is the truth. Whether it's coffee cups, marketing, or the note business, you can do this from just about anywhere. We've had people close deals from Europe and Australia and Spain, and that's a beautiful thing. We're getting ready to head, overseas here in about a month for a couple of weeks, and I'll be checking in, working from abroad, and definitely getting a little bit of stuff done. It's semi-vacation, but you can't take 3 weeks off and not be able to touch space. But that's the beautiful thing of being able to do this from anywhere. You don't have to go out and actually touch the asset. You can actually see it through virtually and having people go out and do that for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I obviously haven't seen any of the assets I bought. I don't have any plans to see them. I've had eyes on them and I have photos of all of them, but I don't need to. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. What questions, though, for those that are watching, what questions do you have for Neil? Any questions for Neil and what he's done? What were you doing over in Africa and Europe is what I want to know.
Well, in Africa, I wasn't doing a whole lot that has to do with a girl. I was a young man. So I did work one day while I was there. I got a one-day job. I was sending faxes for a restaurant for 65 cents an hour. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I can't believe I worked for $1 an hour when I was 9, and I always thought I would never make less than that. But then in my 20s, I made 65 cents an hour. So, but then when I was over in Europe, I got signed to play professional American football over there. Played for a team in Germany in Dortmund, the Dortmund Giants, and just spent one season over there playing with them. I had the opportunity to possibly go back, but that's when, in between then, when I was home that season, my brother needed a business partner, and so he and I started our business, and he's still running it to this day. Just wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, so I had moved on from that.
That's awesome. What position did you play?
I was actually a defensive end. So I played, I'm not big enough to be a defensive end, but I played on the weak side all the time as a speed rusher. So
very good. You're an outside linebacker, basically. Huh?
Yeah, when we would switch up from a 4-3 to a 3-4, I'd stand up and become, a stand-up defensive end or an outside linebacker, depending on how you play.
That's cool, man. I did not know that. You didn't share that with me this weekend.
I don't talk a lot about that. I don't know.
The time I played semi-pro. You've moved on, right? You've moved on, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy talking about it, but it's also you don't want to sit there and sing glory days all the time.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. We can figure the transition from professional semi-pro player in Europe to the fireman, now to the professional notepreneur.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right. Well, I'm surprised that people aren't asking questions. That's you've taken action. You've done the things. You've got one performing. You're working to hopefully get another one performing. What's your goals with those other 2 or 3 that they don't perform? Okay.
Obviously, I still hope they will. If they don't, then they're CFDs, so it's a relatively easy process. Take those back. I'm going to take them back and sell them. Mm-hmm. I don't have any interest right now in picking up more rentals. Again, who knows what the future holds? That's just not in the cards for me right now. I'm not going to turn those over, especially because one of those has a joint venture partner on it, and that's he and I had talked about it, and he'd like to be out in that 12 to 18 months time frame if he can. So that's what I'm looking to do with him.
Cool, good stuff.
Yeah.
So Sarah's commenting here, which is great. She goes, "Trust me, we don't want you to sing glory days." Good stuff. That's funny. And then next we're going to make a big bid. Let's talk about the big bid. Have you guys, I guess you've talked with her a little bit about that. Is that correct or no?
Yeah. Oh yeah. She was there at the Mastermind, and when we talked about it, and yeah, we're going to make a bigger bid than we had. So
that's good. I love it seeing you guys play big. You guys definitely got some great stuff because you're not so worried about the raising capital part because you guys have got some of your own capital, but you've also already started communicating and raising and getting people interested parties for your private stuff outside of your own funds, right?
Yeah, and like I said, because you present good deals, there's money for deals, right? And I heard somebody say, it may have been somebody on your show, but good deals are going to find money. They're going to get funded. So it's just a matter of if I do them or not, right? And I don't plan on doing all of them, certainly, but I want, I would love to have a group of them, get out there and get them done, because if they're going to find money, I can help those deals find that money, right? Just as easy as anybody else can. So we're going to go ahead and make that big bid. That's the idea.
That's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, hey, Neil, I want to thank you for staying up with us a little bit longer because you literally just got off your tour for the day for what, an hour and a half ago?
Yeah, coming up on 2 hours now ago I got home. But yeah, we're coming off a 24-hour shift. 48-hour shift. I worked a double. So yeah, we got back from the Mastermind and I went straight into a double.
Wow. You're ready for some sleep, my friend, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a little nap today. So
nappy. That's why you're drinking tea, not your 5th cup of coffee for the day, right?
That's right.
Well, hey, man, thanks for joining us today. See, you're getting quite a consumption. Yeah, nope says you can't do it. You got to go to work. Bob asked a question here. Not wanting to pool funds, how do you plan to split the assets between multiple investors on a large bid? So I will answer that, Bob. One of the easiest things that we talked about this weekend was going through and ranking the assets. If you buy a big bid, you get a big bid accepted. you can easily go through and rank them from, like, let's say there's 12 assets, 1 through 12. And it's just based off of a quick mod reinstatement, just kind of ranking that aspect of it. And then you have people, if you got 4 or 5 investors that come to the table with 50 grand, you just take the one from the top and one from the bottom, and those are the 2 that first investor does. And they're just joint ventured on those 2. Then you take the second from the top and then the second from the bottom, and that's what the second investor does. And you just do that, just carve up the pool and have them fund those individual deals, so you have individual joint venture deals with those investors. That's your plans, right, Neil?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I plan on having joint venture on them individually rather than pooling funds.
Yeah, you don't want to pool funds, because we don't want to go from hammock days to gray bar motel days.
You said you asked about the future, and I said you can never make plans, but some things you can plan, and I'm planning to stay out of jail.
They're very good, very good, bud.
So.
Good stuff, man. Well, hey, we'll let you get back to getting some shut eye. Give Sarah a big high five for us as well. When you see her tonight, I'm sure she'll be excited to see you. Once again, hey, man, thank you so much for coming out of Kick Coral. You and Sarah were just a pleasure to be around, and everybody in the Mastermind definitely enjoyed your guys' company as well, too.
All right, we had a great time, and thanks for having us down.
No problem, bud. We'll talk to you later, all right?
Definitely. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thanks, bud. Okay, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closers Show. We want to thank you for joining us today. I know it's been had a couple hiccups there and stuff, but that's okay. We adapted and overcome them, and we'll continue to do so. But once again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you all at the top, everybody.